Hello, linguists. How are you doing? Happy Thursday, 17th. Hi, everyone. Please, as usual, let us know where are you watching us from or where are you watching me from, because tonight it's only me. It's only me, Pam Pizzurro. And I wanted to make this episode because I had some things to share with you, which are basically reflections, as you might be able to see in the title for this episode of the Linguists Radio. Reflections of this year, 2020. How are you doing? I hope that your week has gone okay. As many of you know, I'm going to wait to see if anyone else wants to join in. And I would love to hear what you have to say about just my thoughts, sharing my thoughts, because I'm sure that everyone has something to say about this year. Don't we all? So I wanted, as I was saying, I wanted to have this episode today because there have been some reflections, and I need to thank some very important people that have helped this show grow, and all of us really start developing, knowing more about certain things that we maybe didn't know, or getting more information about certain courses that were happening. So hello. I see that more people are joining. So welcome. Thank you for being here. Let me know who you are, because I cannot see, and where are you watching from. I know that some of you like to are just followers, are faithful followers of the linguists, and I really, really appreciate that, and I want to thank you for that. First of all, I wanted to start thanking, as I said, all of you for being part of this. This project started on March with me and my friend Nora De Palma, who is no longer with us. But it kind of started out of the blue. And I don't know if you have seen some of our first episodes that we recorded. We had a lot of oopsies as we were learning how to use the system, as we were learning about the show and all that. And then we also had some really incredible guests from the get-go. And that's who I have to thank next. The guests that we had from the beginning, when we weren't even, known by anyone really, were fundamental to make this happen. And I really, really appreciate all of you. I want to thank all of the guests. We have had 35 or 36 episodes, I believe. And some of the people I want to thank, all of them are important, obviously, but some of the people I want to thank are Darinka Mangino, Maria Fernanda Arambula, and all the people from the Proyectos en Sotle team for believing in me and the Linguists Radio, and helping us all achieve our goals as professionals, as interpreters, as translators. Thank you so much. Darinka especially has been very important because I admire her, as many of us do, right? Darinka Mangino, in case you live under a rock and you don't know who she is, just look her up on YouTube, Darinka Mangino, and you'll find her. And she's one of the best interpreters in the world, in my opinion. I also want to thank Ernesto Jimenez, who was super great, amazing, humble, funny, smart. I mean, I was shocked when he accepted my invitation, and then when he came and shared all of the things he shared. And you can look up those episodes on the page, on the Facebook page. And I'm working on uploading. The quality of the videos is not the greatest, but I'm working on uploading them on YouTube. So everyone can enjoy them. Maybe even extracts, right? How are you doing, guys? Please let us know, where are you joining us from? Where are you watching us from? Another person that I really want to thank is Gabriela Sivak. Gabriela Sivak came and talked to us about mentorship and how important it was for our profession, for our professional development, how really pivotal it was in our lives, in our careers. And I want to thank Gabriela not only for coming that day on the show and sharing all of her knowledge and her expertise and her blog and all the information she shares on her blog. She also talked to us about educational interpretation. Hi, Francesca, mi paisana from Peru. Nice to see you. So I highly advise you go watch that episode with Gabriela Sivak. She was amazing. Javier Casillo is someone who was also very, very important, has been really important for the show, only because he has helped me personally so much. I have learned a lot. I took one of his workshops. It was a really great. He offers really quality workshops and webinars, and I highly recommend you go check out his page. It's Gabriel Casillo with, I believe, if you're watching, I'm so sorry, I think I said Gabriel. Javier Casillo, and I believe his website is Language Services, but I have a list here, so I'm going to leave all of the websites of the people I'm talking about. And the links for that video, so you can go check out their websites, the workshops that they are offering, and so you can keep learning. Natalia Noland, who is a professor here at the Houston Community College. She used to be the president for the Houston Interpreters and Translators Association here in Texas, and she's no longer the president, but she was also amazing, and she shared with us a lot of information. So if you're in Houston and you want to get training as a professional interpreter and translator, go and check out the program that the Houston Community College offers, because it's a great, I believe it's a 2-year program, or they were shooting for 3 years. And it's just quality education again. Carmelina Cadena was a wonderful guest, incredibly knowledgeable. She just taught us so much about indigenous culture and languages, and she gave us a different perspective of how important it is to be aware of what's happening culturally in other countries, and how linguistics are important to understand, and to give access to everyone who doesn't speak either Spanish or English, because they are not the only languages that are spoken, in Latin America or here in the United States, obviously, or in Canada. So thank you, Carmelina. I admire you. I follow you. And I was really proud of that episode. I think we rocked it and nailed it. And I hope that you guys enjoyed it. Of course, I have to thank Miss Maha El-Metwali. She is, along with Darinka Mangino, one of the greatest interpreters out there. If you want to become a United Nations interpreter, you have to look them up. Maha El-Metwali, Darinka Mangino, and many others, of course, but these are the people who have been in the show and have shared with us all of their expertise. And they are UN interpreters. They have worked in the United Nations and with presidents. And so check out their work, because you become what you admire. You could, if you put the work. Tony Rosado, of course, I need to thank him. He also gave us a really interesting lesson about our profession and how we are supposed to look at our industry and how we should treat it. And we don't charge rates. We don't have a rate. We have a fee. I remember that clearly from our interview. So I really enjoyed the interview with Tony Rosado. So thank you for coming. And Leslie, not Leslie, really, because I have many other guests to thank, but these were the ones that have had the most impact, I guess, on the Linguists Radio podcast. Ellen Evie and Romina Marazzato, and of course the girls from En Pantuflas. And I say girls because they are so relatable, but they are two professional women that I have followed for so many months, and they started in 2018, and I have been following them since 2019, I believe. But check out the podcast. I'm sure you have heard about them. The podcast En Pantuflas. They are from Argentina. They do great interviews, and it's just a pleasure to hear every single episode that they put out. So thank you, all of you. You are followers. Thank you for sticking with me throughout all this year. So here we go. Here are my reflections, and I would love to know what you think about this. If you care to share. But the first thing I wanted to tell you about was just an anecdote of how this came to happen. I remember there's my aunt. I remember I used to work in the immigration court here in Houston. And the couple of last weeks that I worked, there was this rumor that things were coming down really bad in like Italy, and they were closing places and all that. And so it seemed kind of foreign and far, and that it wasn't going to happen. And then one more week happened, and then I think it hit New York, and New York was really bad, and they started shutting down New York and LA or California. And then in a matter of a couple of days, they shut down absolutely everything, including obviously the immigration courts, and that was it. The issue with me is that I also have little kids. So my problem was that since they closed the daycares and they tried to keep them open for a while, I couldn't go back even if I wanted to, because I had to have my kids in daycare while I worked. You know how it is here in the United States. It's not like you live with all your family. At least I don't have any family here. It's just me, myself, and I, and my husband. And so we needed daycare if I wanted to work. So I had to stop. I had to stop working, and this is my passion. Interpreting and translating is something that I have loved doing since I don't even know. It's like since I was a little kid. I loved learning new languages. My parents always exposed me to other cultures. My dad used to work with people from Finland and from El Salvador and Canada and like France and many countries. And he intentionally, I was the oldest. I am the oldest of his kids. And so he intentionally made me go along with them on walks and whatnot and talk to them so I could hear what they were saying. And we would spend like 1 or 2 weeks, and they would just talk to me. He would ask them as a favor to talk to me in their language and then kind of translate things, right? So I could understand. Obviously, I don't speak Finnish or I don't know, Swahili or or German, but I was able to learn English and French and Portuguese, some Portuguese, and of course my mother tongue. But I always loved this intercultural approach, the sharing. I just have always found it fascinating. So when the pandemic happened, it was hard. I thought, like everybody else, it's going to be okay. It's going to pass, and it never did. And my personality is the type of personality that in times of chaos, I react very quickly, and I'm like, I take over. That's just how. Hi, Susana. That's just how I am. This is an anecdote. We used to my mom passed away when I was 12 years old, and she had a bad heart. And I'm from Peru, and there are a lot of earthquakes in Peru. I think it was year 93 or 94. It was a couple of years before she passed away. We used to live in this very poor neighborhood, and there was a very bad earthquake. I was probably 8 or 9 years old. I think I was 9. I'm pretty sure I was 9 years old. My sister at the time, if you're watching TV and you remember this, try to correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you must have been like 3 or 4 years old. And it was on my mom, my sister, and I. My dad was out of town working as he usually did. And this earthquake started happening, and we were just building our house, and everything started falling apart. And I took control of the situation with 9 years old. That's the person. I just was born that way, right? I took control. I remember I took blankets and I took some water, and I took my mom and my sister by their arms to the main door. We are always told to, stand under a threshold, because that's like one of the safest part, or like next to a column, because those are the safest part of the house. And once the earthquake was over, I crumbled. I started shaking and just trembling and shivering, and everything came down. And that's the way I usually am. When something stressful happens, I just go and take over. And then once I see things are calming down, and I can let go a little bit, that's when I can like fall apart. And so that's kind of what happened at the beginning of this. My good friend Nora, she and I, we were really close, and we were talking, and we were like, I was telling her, I really don't think this is going to get better until it doesn't make sense. It didn't make sense to me. It's a virus, so I don't think it's going to go away. It's like logically we haven't taught that a virus, once it's out, right? So I thought, why don't we start a podcast? And so we thought about names. Nora was the one who thought about the linguists. I had other options. And so we decided to go for it. And we did a couple of pilots that you can watch whenever you want to. And then we just let ourselves go and had faith in this and trusted it. And that was the first topic that I wanted to talk. It's the fear that we all felt, I'm sure, at the beginning. And if there is something that I have learned this year and that I wanted to share with you, is that I have learned to embrace the fear, to give it some space, because if we don't feel it, if we try to, just fight it, it's never going to be able to teach us something. We are never going to be able to overcome and get our armors out and fight as we should, and have the courage that we all need to have at certain points in our life to overcome hard situations. So embrace fear. And I don't know what you think about that, but yeah, just that's one of the things I wanted to share with you. Embrace the fear. And once you have done that and you're in the middle of that, this takes, some practice, obviously. But I was thinking about how important it is to identify our skills, obviously, as interpreters, as translators as well. Thank you, Susana. But also identify the areas that you need improvement on, right? Like areas for improvement and your skills. Once you have done this, work on your skills and dedicate a certain amount of time within your week, and be disciplined with it. You have to have a discipline to be able to capitalize on those skills. And then look at those areas for improvement that you need to work on, but don't obsess. don't get obsessed in those, because your skills are going to give you more gain than the areas for improvement. So a lot of people, obviously I'm talking about me here, but I know I've seen it reflected in other colleagues, is that they think, oh man, I'm so bad at, whatever. Venezuelan cases. We had a lot of political Venezuelan cases, and a lot of my colleagues used to get really worked up by the words that they used to use, and like the register, which was really high, and we weren't used to that. So focus on the other stuff, like focus on the good things, because we need, especially in times like this, we need that self love, that self acceptance, that recognition that, you know what, yes, obviously we have some things that we obviously need to improve, like everyone, but we are damn good at other stuff. Like Susana was sharing a story the other day that I was so proud of, because she stood up for herself, and that's something that we as interpreters and translators need to do. I personally need to learn how to stand up for myself. A lot of times I just, back up and just don't return again. I think I've shared this with you previously, but damn, girl, we need to stand up for ourselves, for our profession, for us. Just that. No bullying at all. Yeah, don't take bullying from anyone, from absolutely anyone. We are worth it. We have, exactly, well, from anyone, right? Even all the people that are involved in our work, whether you work in a court setting or in a school setting or in a medical setting, like in a clinic or in a hospital, don't take any bullying from anyone. You are a professional and you know what you're doing. And yes, you might need to improve on certain things, but also you are very good at some other certain things. So focus on the good and work on the bad. Yes. Uh-huh. Yeah, that's right. Here, I'm sorry. It's like this is what Suzanne is saying. Okay, so from this comes another idea that I had. So I'm looking at here because I have my notes. So the importance of mentors. How important are mentors in our life? How important are people that we need to look up to research, to learn from? Once I had this episode with Gabriela Sivak, and she was talking about her steps for finding a mentor. I had a phone call from someone very dear now to me, and I met her very recently, but she has become a mentor to me, and Cecilia. So it's very important to have mentors, because we need someone to tell us how can we improve with a method. What technique do we need to work on, and how do we need to do it? And I think that I was thinking about this, and the reason why they are called mentors is because they are not going to make you feel like you suck. That's not a mentor. That is, I don't know, someone that you just stumble upon. A mentor is someone who is going to bring up all the good things that you have done and let you see all the things that you need to work on, not your mistakes. I mean, yes, they are mistakes, but they are not going to tell you, you need to do this and make you feel bad about it. That's not the point. And I think that Cecilia has done that for me. No, I know. I don't think. I know she has done that for me. She has lifted my self-confidence, my knowledge, and my will to improve. So thank you, Cecilia, and thank you to all of you who are mentors of somebody else. And I really, really encourage you to become a mentor, because We all need it. No matter in what stage of this path you are, you can always be a mentor to someone. And so I know that my friend also, you know who you are. I'm not going to say your name, but someone asked me to be their mentor. I really didn't feel like I wasn't going to fit the shoe at all. I thought, this is too much. But you know what? I after a while, I've been thinking about it, and I think, why not? If I can help her in any way, I will. I have. It's a lot of responsibility, and it's scary because you don't want to mess up anyone, right? In their way up. But everyone can take some help from you. And so that's important. And that's something that we even talk about with Holly Mickelson, how important mentors were and how much of a lack of mentors we have in our profession. And that's unfortunate, but yeah. So when you find a mentor, you also would benefit from finding an ally. How great are allies like Susana, or like my friends from court, like Mauricio, like Gabby, Patty, Doug. I mean, and I'm naming colleagues that I know, Mario, who has been in the show, Liz. I mean, I can keep going on and on and on, and just find allies. Find someone who shares your struggles and that also are willing to learn, find someone that is willing to learn, and is willing to cheer you up when you need some cheering up. It's very important to find an ally. Keep an open mind. Keep an open mind because you never know where the help is going to come from. Sometimes there are people who might be kind of rough around the edges. And, not everybody's perfect, as we know. And so keep an open mind because you can always learn something from someone. Even if it's the Grinch, you can always find something interesting, learn something from the Grinch, and something that is going to have a good impact in your life. So just embrace all of this experience that life is taking you through. Embrace life with an open mind. That's I think how you might be able to find the best mentor for you at that time when you need it. And yeah, I don't know. Susana says that we're each other's mentors, and I 100% believe that. Not only that, I mean, we are each other's allies, and we are there to support each other. We are we're very lucky that we have this group of colleagues here in Houston who have a stick with each other through thick and thin, and that's awesome. But I mean, I wish that everybody had that same, camaraderie. And that's what I wish for everyone, to find a mentor and an ally in this profession, at least one. Okay, so moving on, I really would like to know what you guys think. Have you found a mentor? Has it been hard to find a mentor in this industry? And whether you're a translator or an interpreter, have you had to search, or have you even found one yet? I mean, maybe you haven't. Maybe you're just starting and you haven't found one yet. But yeah, that's something that I wanted to reflect on as this year is coming to an end. And so now I want to move into something that it's a hot topic apparently for a lot of us, and a lot of us feel very insecure about it. And this is my take on it, my point of view. So take it as for what it is, just an opinion. But it's technology in our industry, and a lot of people are freaking out about it. They are scared. They think that we're going to be replaced by machines, by artificial intelligence, and so on. It's a very fair fear. I think it's a justified fear because we have seen it happening in other industries, right? Where labor has been replaced by machines. So, okay, I'm going to tell you this. Let me know what you think. Today, we were walking. My husband has a few days off this week, so we were walking with my 4-year-old son into a store through the parking lot. So we're walking. I'm sure many of you have had this happen to you. This lady is backing up, and she almost hit my husband. I mean, she basically hit my husband, but it was like at the beginning, so she didn't have that much speed. So my husband was able to like bang on her window, and nothing bad happened. And so we just stare at her like with a nasty look in our eyes, going like, and I say, she rolls down her window, and I scream at her. I tell her, "You're supposed to look back." And so she's just like, she cannot understand or process what's happening. And the first thing she says is, "I'm sorry. This thing is supposed to beep every time someone is behind, but I don't know why it didn't." So I thought, okay, so I don't know if you get my point here, but we cannot trust in artificial intelligence. We're not at that point. I mean, we have a lot of development. My hair just went super crazy. I'm sorry. We have a lot of development. This year has been the year, like, I mean, not this year. It has been happening for a while. Let's be honest, right? But are we really going to just let computers take over and think that that's it? No. That's not how it's going to be. I personally don't think. Yes, there are going to be technologies that are going to replace a lot of the things we have been doing, but not everything. So my best recommendation for this, as I have been reading and taking a lot of courses, is to start specializing in a field. I think that's going to be the key. Because artificial intelligence can get good at a lot of things, and we can actually use it in our favor to make our workload lower, not so overwhelming, and take advantage of that artificial intelligence to really capitalize on those things that we're really good at and that need more attention. Attention to detail is the key, I believe. So if you are into court interpreting and you think you are really good at depositions and a particular field or area in depositions, then really try to focus on that and become the best at it. And I mean, don't, neglect the other areas. I'm not saying that, but go for it. I think that that's one of the keys. And another super important thing is to learn technology. And the example that I wrote here was something that I always think. When you were a kid, if you were from the 70s, 80s, you know that when you were a kid, your parents, when TVs came out, like, color TVs or remote control TVs, they were like freaking out, weren't they? When CDs came out, they thought that vinyls were going to go away forever and all this, and it wasn't going to be the same. And like 3 or 4 years later, my dad is buying all these CDs, and he still has his vinyls, but he's replacing all of this with CDs now. And yes, the sound is not the same, but when he wants to hear a certain type of sound, he goes back to his vinyls and listens to it. And then usually in the car, he would listen to to other like CDs or MP3s or whatnot. What I'm trying to say is we cannot we cannot continue complaining about it for too long. We can be shocked, but we cannot hang in that shock for too long, because it will surpass us, and that's exactly what we don't want. So Susana says there's no way artificial intelligence can outwit attorneys when they are speaking over each other. Sounds like a joke, but ask any attorney. I'm sure. I mean, yes, 100%. But not only on that, other things like medical interpreting, some really sensitive topic that you need to interpret, or a very specific type of translation about human trait, for instance. There has to be a lot of work done still. I don't think it's going to, and even then, I don't think it's going to be as catastrophic as we might think. So my recommendation, this is again just my humble opinion, would be focus on a specialization and learn technology, learn coding, learn machine translation, learn artificial intelligence in interpreting, because it's going to help us make them an ally, not the enemy. And so I'm getting close to the end. Oops. And I wanted to share with you that I recently had, and Susana knows this because we knew about this together, and she kind of passed the ball to me, and I'm very grateful for that. Thank you, Susana. I had my first conference interpreter here in the US, and it was amazing. And I was so nervous. It was... I stressed out for about 3 days, and this is what I did. I had taken a course with Darinka Mangino. I'm so sorry, but I don't remember the name of the workshop, but it was on the Lexica Aula Virtual website. If you go there, you're going to find a remote simultaneous interpreting workshop that she had right at the beginning of all of this. There, she has a method that she developed for when she was, I think, for her master, when she was studying at the Geneva School of Interpretation, I think. Anyways, the method that she developed is called the speaking method. And it was a lifesaver, because the people that hired me were very broad about the information about what we had to interpret. I actually didn't even get the name of the company that we were going to interpret for properly. And so I did a lot of research, and I studied a company that I thought I was going to be working for or interpreting for. And it ended up that it wasn't that company. It was another company from a different country. So still, using this method, the speaking method, I was able to pinpoint and narrow down all the things that I needed to get to study terminology, what kind of setting I was going to be in, what kind of topic within that really broad area, that field that I had to interpret for, I had to focus on. And it went really well. It went really, really well. And I was so thankful that once I got there and once the timer started ticking, I wasn't fearful. I was excited. I was a little anxious. There was a lot of adrenaline. I felt the adrenaline rush just running through me. But I did it well. I, studied for 3 days, and it paid off. because I used the right method, the right technique. And so I couldn't recommend that course anymore, that workshop anymore, for any of you who are going to interpret in a conference or even in like any setting. And you don't have much information about that. Another thing that we did talk in the show with Holly Mickelson was the fact that if you are a court interpreter or a legal interpreter, you have the right to know what is the case going to be about, and at least the name of the person you're going to be interpreting for. It's not anything bad. There's no breach of information or anything like that. Just ask the basics. Which are those? Like, what kind of case is going to be in? Like, you're going to be interpreting for the topic and the name of the person, right? Involved, or the people involved. So yeah, those are two takes. I don't know if this is of any benefit to you. Are you finding this helpful in any way? I'm sure many of you know this already. So I'm just gonna close in now with what courses I think we are still missing that I haven't really seen, but I know that a lot of schools in Europe do offer them, and I know that in universities in Peru and in Argentina. I'm not. I mean, I just know about Peru and Argentina because I'm from Peru and I used to study there, and then Argentina. I have lived in Uruguay for a number of years, so I kind of have researched the market. I would say that they offer speaking classes, like speaking in front of an audience, for preparing you to become an interpreter, and also so giving speeches basically, and also preparing speeches, because that's usually what you're going to be interpreting for. That's something that, and so the projection of your voice, I haven't really seen that here, but maybe, I don't know, do you know of any workshops or webinars that might be, maybe I'm missing out and I just haven't researched well enough, but I really haven't stumbled upon any of that, because it's important to have the confidence to stand up in front of an audience or in front of a judge, which is it is intimidating, you know? I mean, I remember I was super intimidated with the very first time I interpreted for a judge. I was freaking out. I just was freaking out, and I was able to keep my cool, but I remember I was like a mess, sweating and all that. So I think that all of us would benefit from a course of preparing how to prepare a speech, so we kind of know, how to flow, what's the flow, and then how to stand up in front of an audience, project our voice, things like that. I think those things are beneficial. And with that, my friends, I have reached the end of my notes and the end of the show as well for tonight. I just want to tell you again that I am really grateful for all of you. I hope that you enjoyed this episode, which is me, I know, wah. But I don't think I'm going to have another guest until next year. But next year, I do have to pat myself on the back, because I have, for the month of January only. I mean, I'm not even going to tell you because I already have my lists. But for the month of January, I have some guests that you don't want to miss. There's especially one that is going to be giving a class in note-taking. Well, a sample of a class. It's not a class, it's just a sample. And thank you, Zaide. And this is someone that I found out through a workshop that I took with Andrew Gillies. And so I advise you to check that out, because, and I'm going to be announcing it very soon. I need to work on some details, and I have to get some approvals before I announce it, but it's set. So January, it's going to be your year. It is going to be your year. Put that in your mind, write it down, and make sure you fight for it. Make it happen because it's not up to anyone else but yourself. I hope that you liked this episode. I don't know how it was, but I hope it was helpful. Thank you, linguists. We'll see you. Hopefully, I'm going to make a video before the end of the year. Just a short one. We'll see. Maybe it's like a surprise video, but I hope you did enjoy this one. And I'm very grateful to all of you. Take care. Have a nice weekend. Bye.